Our rope is too short to make our rappel to the ground or even the next stance. What do we do? Hi there, everyone. I'm Jason. We got off route when rappelling or abseiling down a multi-pitch route, and we don't know where the next safe anchor may be. Or we got a rope stuck on our previous rappel and had to cut it, shortening our available rope. These are just two reasons why we could end up with a rope that is too short to make a safe rappel to the next stance. What do we do? Well, we can combine a number of techniques that we've discussed in previous videos, along with some ingenuity. First, we probably want to lower the first climber down so that we can be sure to use the minimum amount of rope needed to get to the next stance. Before we do that lower, however, the climber to be lowered needs to make sure that they have the minimal amount of material needed to make a new anchor, create a tether, and be able to ascend the rope should something go wrong. The rest of the material is all handed over to the second climber down. As far as setting up the lower, we did a video on 3 different lowering setups that convert from ascending to descending, and you can check out the link in the description. But if we are going straight to lower, not having set up a belay for ascent, we will often use a setup that looks like this. We have the climber's rope going up through the device, and then the brake strand is passing through the anchor, which will be the rappel point, before elevating through a redirect and then passing through a safety friction hitch that helps the person lowering maintain control of the brake strand. Once the lowered climber tells us to stop and takes the tension off of the rope, the climber above can add in a bite knot on the back side of the lower and then clip a carabiner through that knot and around the strand the lowered climber was on. What we are doing is fixing the line with what is called a Reepschnur Hitch so that the top climber can do a single strand rappel. The rappel line is fixed, and the pull line would undo the system and allows us to retrieve our rope once we are down below. Now, there are pros and cons to fixing a single strand rappel with different setups. A knot and a carabiner could get caught when we pull it down through rough and blocky terrain. We could use knot blocks instead, but those require small aperture anchor openings, and there are other considerations as well. You can check out another link in the description for a video we did on descending with 2 climbing ropes or a climbing rope and a tagline to get deeper into some of those pros and cons. Now, as the top climber sets up their rappel, they want to make sure that A, they are fixing their rappel to the correct line, and B, they have a friction hitch backup in place that is sticky enough to hold the climber because they are going to need to stop while on rappel. Now, as we head down, when we are nearing the end of our climbing rope on the pull strand side, we stop our rappel and tie in a backup knot on the rappel line. We can add a quick overhand to the pull line and start clipping first our own gear and then all the materials the lowered climber handed over at the start. We create the end of this makeshift tagline to the point where it reaches the stance below. Smoother materials like slings and webbing are a better choice than things that will get stuck more easily like cams and gear, but we do what we have to do. If we estimate the length wrong, we can always stop our rappel again and add more materials as we near the new stance. Once both climbers are down, we can pull on our makeshift tagline and, hopefully, retrieve our rope, which calls out the major trade-off. We've really increased the likelihood of our rope getting stuck as we pull it down. If we feel like our terrain might lend itself to making new anchors in ways that don't take much gear, or maybe through the use of an equivocation hitch that takes no gear, and for which there is a link to another video in the description, we may want to go ahead and do more shorter rappels that match our rope length instead. But in vertical to overhanging terrain, this improvised tagline may be the best option for getting down quickly. Ever had to improvise a descent? Tell us your story in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can watch that video on passing the knot on lower in case you joined 2 ropes together with today's technique, or you can check out our entire rock climbing safety series. We'll see you next week, and keep on getting more out of that big outside.